Hello everyone. Special hello to all my minions out there, my channel subscribers and live stream viewers. Today's review is going to be on an Apex Group knife. This one is the Bestech Bandit. Specs on this knife: N690 bowler steel, flat grind, slight drop point here, stone washed, full stainless liners on this knife. It is a liner lock. It does have good lockup and engagement. The knife has a green micarta scales, ceramic ball bearings. It is manually deployed via a flipper tab. And we do have a deep carry clip on this knife in the back, all stainless. So let's talk about the likes. First of all, it's a good looking knife from Bestech. Right? Nice looking knife. And it has some great looking micarta on here with a little bit of texturing, which I really like. I love when companies put micarta on there and they do a nice job of it. I'm not a fan of fuzzy micarta. I do like micarta that's been chamfered and you know, textured really nice. And this is definitely in that category, so thumbs up for that. The action on the knife is very good. The knife is very fidgety. Most of the time, with just a little flick of your wrist, it'll drop shut. Sometimes it takes an extra second flick, but most of the time, the knife drops shut pretty easily. So it's pretty fidgety, and I don't know how much this knife has actually been used. It has been passed around the group a little bit, but I don't think it's seen a tremendous amount of use. The blade has held an edge through all of the cutting I've done really, really well, and I haven't had any issues with it. Again, we don't get a ton of time with these knives. We get roughly about a week, and then they have to be sent on to the next person or returned. But so far, in the time that I've had this knife, which has been pretty much a week, and I've got to carry it a good bit, it's a good performer. I mean, blade-wise, steel-wise, the N690 has held up really well. It takes a wicked edge if you sharpen N690. I did not sharpen this knife, nor did I have to resharpen it after using it. It has held up very nicely. It basically is very easy to EDC. This is not a very big knife. Let's give you an idea. My large glove size hands. When I hold this knife here in the hammer position, I do have this back finger kind of right off this edge here. It's right on that kind of edge. So you can get 4 fingers on there, but not quite. If you have large glove size hands, it gets there, but not quite. If you have bigger hands or larger fingers, you're gonna find that this is a 3-finger knife for you. But it does have pretty solid ergos, good texturing on the micarta, and it has overall a pretty pleasing feel for a small knife. Decent sized blade spine in the back, so the knife actually feels pretty comfortable in hand when you're using it. And I found myself holding it here in the modified saber grip most of the time. Issues or dislikes? I don't really have a lot of them, but there's a couple small things. You know, I always do honest reviews, so here we go. The pocket clip is nice. Actually, one of the things I didn't mention was that the pocket clip does not have any hot spots. It feels really good on this knife. You don't even notice it when you're holding this knife in your hand. But as far as the ability for this knife to go in and out of your pocket easy, it does have a very, very shallow pocket clip. You don't feel it when it's in your hand, but it also is very shallow, so it's not really going to be great for thicker clothing because it is pretty narrow in there. Countersunk screws, so good on that, and it you know, it's not reversible, but it does have some countersunk screws, so there's no lefty love on this knife. Again, it is a liner lock, so you don't typically see that a lot on liner locks anyway. So that's one of the issues that I have, and you know, I don't know. I kind of look at this blade cutout, and I feel like it's mostly decorative. And then I think about it, and I go, man, if you had really tiny hands, you might be able to get a finger underneath that. But I think you'd have to have really small hands. A woman might be able to do it, or a guy with really small hands might be able to get their finger in there, but I think not. I think that blade cutout is more decorative than anything else. You cannot really get underneath that sucker at all. So the main deployment method for this knife is going to be the flipper tab. So I just kind of feel like that's more of a decorative thing. It makes the nice look knife. It kind of breaks up the design a little bit. So that's good. And then the final thing is the knife does feel small in your hand. All right. It's not meant to be a big knife, but it does feel small in your hand. And for me, that's a little bit of an issue. I understand that the category that the knife falls into. I'm not trying to nitpick. I'm just letting people know that, for me with large glove size hands, my finger tends to fall off the back a little bit when I use this knife. So I consider this a 3-finger knife for a person with large size hands or bigger. If you have small hands, I'm not going to have that issue. So a couple of other quick things about the knife that I skipped over in the beginning. I didn't talk about some of the basic specs on the knife other than the steel. It does have 2 1/8 inches of usable blade here. It does have a 3.5-inch scale, a tip to tail length of 6 inches, and weighs about 2.6 ounces. I usually put that in the beginning. I just kind of spaced out and skipped over it, so my apologies. And let's give you a couple of quick size comparisons so you can see where this knife falls into the size range. And I want to show you a Kaiser Original, which is a knife I used in one of my other recent reviews, side by side with this. So if you put these two knives together, boy, that looks pretty similar in size, right? But when you open these two knives, there's an obvious difference between the two. You can see that even though the overall scale length is pretty similar, the original has a spot here to put your front finger, so it makes this knife feel larger. This one, because it uses a flipper tab, it kind of pushes your hands away from this area more back here, and this is why this is more of a 3-finger knife. But here it is next to a Kaiser Original, and you can see that lengthwise, they're pretty similar, and even thickness-wise, they are very similar in that respect. But this, the Bandit feels smaller, noticeably smaller in your hands, and that's just because it does have a flipper tab, and it kind of limits the ergos you have. But I applaud them for at least making the whole side of the knife run fairly straight back and giving you the ability to put your hands anywhere in this area. So that feels great. You can kind of choke up to here a little bit and put your finger a little further forward. It just doesn't feel completely natural in that position. Finally, I'm going to show you a knife that's very, very popular that everybody in the knife community that's been around for a little while probably has, and this is a QSP Penguin. This is one of the Penguins that I own. I have a couple, but this one right here just gives you a good size comparison. There we're looking at them pivot to pivot. You can see there's not a tremendous amount of overall difference in length, but again, the Penguin has a lot more handle space because it's not a flipper. So not only can you hold it here in this position, but you can choke up onto the flat. So that is one thing I noticed about this knife. It is a small knife. It is well made. It is well crafted, good fit and finish overall. But the ergos are maybe just a tiny bit wanting if you have medium, large, or bigger hands than that. If you have smallish hands, you'll really like this. I consider this to be a second carry knife. It's kind of just a little bit too big for a 5th pocket carry, but probably would be good for a left or second pocket carry for a lot of folks. So that is the Bestech Bandit. That is part of the Apex Group's pass around knife reviews. I enjoyed my time with this knife. I did like this knife in a lot of ways. My summary is this. I would say at $40 to $44, depending on which of the 4 scale color way options you choose, the knife is not that expensive. If you have smallish hands, if you're looking for a good, solid, inexpensive second pocket knife, this could be the ticket for you. Again, a little too big for a 5th carry, but nevertheless, it's solidly built, small EDC carry. It does carry well in the pocket. It really, really does. I wish the pocket clip were a little thicker, so you're not going to probably carry this in the winter or when it's cold and you're wearing thicker clothes, but it's a good early and mid-season type of knife for a second backup knife or second pocket knife. It does have a few little minor hiccups in its design, nothing major. Build quality is really good. If you have small hands, this could be a good choice for you. It really could. So that's all I've got today. The Bestech Bandit, again, that's what I reviewed. I hope you guys found this informational and enjoyable. Thank you as always for watching. Shout out to all my subscribers and my live stream members. Really appreciate you guys a lot. Thanks for watching, and as always, folks, stay sharp.